So this is actually a very embarrassing topic for me, but I want to talk about me being an incel for years today. Right after my girlfriend and me broke up, I kind of came back into this like lonely vibe state where I felt like, oh my god, I'm going to be back to going an incel because I approached like hundreds of women before I actually got laid. And I feel like, oh my god, I have to do it again, or I'm never going to find one again. And it was just luck or something like this that I found the girls I slept with in the past, which is obviously just my insecurity speaking and complete bullshit. But before I actually got to having sex with girls for years and years and years, I was in an incel. And I kind of want to explain to you guys how my psychology worked, what I felt, what I thought in those moments, and what my wake up looked like and what I did to kind of get out of it. So I think this video would be great for people who have no clue how incels are, how they think, and also for incels to see that there's ways out of this like state. You don't have to stay in it. That's literally one of the best things about being a man in contrast to being a woman. You have way more potential to build yourself, right? Because when you're a woman, well, like from biological perspective, the value you have is giving birth, right? Like you're fertile, you can bear children, and that's kind of your biological use. And for men, it's more like a thing that there's potential, especially when you're young, and you can use that potential to make something out of yourself. So you're not that like a woman's fertility decreases with time, but as a man, with time you can build yourself, and your attractiveness peaks in your 30s or even in your 40s. So you have way more time to building yourself. And I'm just saying this so that if you're an incel, that you might have some hope about this, because there's, even when you're in your 40s and you're an incel, I think it's still not too late to change something in your life. Okay. So how did I became an incel? It's a very interesting thing actually, because when I was like 12, 13, I was a very popular kid in school. I had many friends. I had a lot of girlfriends back then actually. I didn't sleep with them because we're like 12 and 13, right? I had like the long Justin Bieber hairs, whatever. So a lot of girls actually liked me, and I was very like, not caring what people think. I was a rule breaking rebel kid, right? I took like knives to school and all of that shit. And I think that made me very attractive. And the interesting thing that I learned back then was, once you get 1-2 girls liking you, it's like it's like something that's just snowball effect, right? Like you get 1-2 girls that like you, and you get more and more and more and more that are attracted to you. So it's really like the start is the hardest, but once you are there, it's just like humans have that tendency to look for their peers, what other people think. And if there's some women who are attracted to you, other women will also start being attracted to you just because of the social proof mechanism in your brain. Okay, then puberty hit. I got pimples. I didn't look so good anymore. I became crazy insecure, and girls were on the topic for years. Then about like 16, 17, 18, I started losing my acne. I was popular again, like kind of popular. And I actually had some girls who were interested in me. They stayed for me for hours and hours. I literally had one girl walking up to me once and said she's thinking about having sex with me. And even then, I didn't do anything. And that's my fault, right? Like I could have had sex. I just like didn't do it. And I think that's for many incels the case, that they actually have that opportunity given to them, but they don't do it out of fear, because they might be afraid they're not performing well in the bedroom. They're insecure about their body. They have distorted beliefs about themselves where they think like no girls gonna want them, all of this bullshit. And that's just accumulating in their brain. And then if you hit some like trauma, some bullying from the past on top of that, well, you have the perfect mixture for a guy who's just going to think that he's not good enough, and whatever is going to happen, he will never get one. And the more I went into this like cycle, I actually looked to confirm my beliefs about myself, because this is the very dangerous thing about having negative self-beliefs, is that you will go out confirming to yourself that is the case. So when I went out, even though the women liked me, I told myself, oh no, they didn't like me. I'm a loser, whatever, just because I had this like deep self-belief about myself, and I looked for ways to confirm them. So that's why you should always be very, very critical about your own self-beliefs. I do think there's some, because I've actually spent a huge amount of time talking to incels on Reddit, because now I actually teach guys how to become better with women if they're in this incel states, since I found a way out of it. By the way, if you want my help with this, you can schedule a free conversation with me. There's a link below in the description of the video. Anyhow, so I think some men, since I talk to a lot of people, especially on Reddit, to help them, they are kind of like nerds. They were like always unpopular kids. They don't have a lot of social skills. So that's kind of like a different background story than mine, because I was socially well connected. These guys are not well socially connected. Okay, they're nerds. They're unhygienic. Their grooming is not on point, right? And then, then it's just the case that the women don't want to be around you because of that. So then the step isn't to challenge your beliefs. Then it's actually time to start working on yourself, improving your hygiene, improving your grooming, improving your social skills, and all of that. If you're like me, if you come from that background where you're socially well connected, you have social skills and all of that, then it's more time to start facing your fears in terms of like approaching women, asking them out on dates, making moves on them. Because this was also a very big issue. I had women talk to me for hours and I just need to make out with them, or even say, let's go to my place, and that would have been enough. But I just didn't do it out of fear. And that's kind of like the problem that a lot of men face who are like kind of from the same background that I came from, where you're too socially connected, right? You're socially so well connected that you don't want to lose these social connections by behaving bold or by behaving aggressive towards women or whatever. So as time progressed and I became more and more into that state where I had like zero success for years, I became more and more depressed about that fact. And then I had a very, very harsh awakening, when I was like, okay, fuck. Like there's something wrong that I need to take care of. And when you have this awakening, then shit really hits the fan, because then you start becoming resentful and angry. And some men, they start becoming suicidal when they're in this mindset, because, the first reason is, I think, because like if biology tells you that you're not giving you're not passing your genes on, then that's not something you're going to be very happy about, right? And the second thing is that especially when you let other people walk all over you, when you don't assert what you want out of fear that other people could react negatively, you're gonna start feeling resentment and hate towards them. And that's the point where people start fantasizing about going to school and shooting people, right? That's the emotion where that comes from. And I never really had a lot of emotions like that. I'm gonna be honest, at some points I had like rageful emotions like that, where I said like, okay, I have to make other people pay for it. Or like, the interesting thing is actually that suicidal thoughts actually come from the same background, where you say you're gonna kill yourself in order other people are gonna feel sorry how they treated you in the past when they come to your funeral. That's like the really fucked up thing about this like suicidal shit, that when you fantasize about like suicide, especially when you're an incel, or like a person who's kind of into that psychological category, you will do it in order to make other people feel sorry how they treated you. So it's kind of the same thing as going to, or thinking about going to a school and shooting people, because they're gonna feel sorry when you kill them, right? But they're also gonna feel sorry when you kill yourself and they come to your funeral and they're gonna say, oh my God, we treated him like shit, and it's our fault and all of that. And that's why, like, look, and like, if you have these thoughts, I would strongly recommend you talk to somebody close to you or to a psychologist. I can understand where these thoughts come from, because I have some of them myself. But you need to, think if you have emotions like this, then there's something wrong. Like you have to talk to people about it, and you have to figure out a solution for the problems, and there are solutions for it. Okay. Anyhow, so the problem with this thinking is it comes from a victim mindset, right? When you believe yourself to be a victim, and that means that somebody else is at fault for your situation, otherwise you wouldn't be a victim. Whether that's the social system, whether that's women, whether that's, other men, your family, everybody in your school, I don't know. If you're the victim, then they deserve the punishment. And that's where the thoughts and feelings come from that we just talked about. And that's why you should be very, very careful in which situations you see yourself as a victim. Because victim mentality ultimately results in that suicidalness and, wanting to punch other people in very aggressive ways for it. And therefore, it is a very, very dangerous thing to do. And the key here to get out of this, I would say, is to accept responsibility for the fact that, you might have been mistreated, the world might be cruel to you, but there's still always a way to make things better. And to accept responsibility for that and to improve to improve how you're standing in life, no matter what happened to you. Because the reality also is that everybody has some shit in their life. Everybody is abused, bullied, made fun of, having imperfect parents. You might believe you're super unique about these things, but probably you aren't. There are some people who are victimized in very, very horrible ways, but you still have a responsibility to act like humanity is good and to make the best out of it, okay? Because it's actually true. And the world kind of is your mirror. If you think everybody's evil, everybody's going to start behaving evil towards you. If you think everybody's good, you will see that people act good towards you. This effect is called mirroring in neuroscience and enabling in psychology. That means basically people treat yourself like you treat them. Don't get me wrong, there are some predatory people out there, and you need to be careful when talking to them. So not everybody is good, but evil people always believe other people are evil. And the most evil people are weak people. And that's the second thing I would say here is that, when it comes to solution to this incel thing, you have to become mentally strong. Because when I look back at that time when I still was an incel, I was mentally very weak, okay? And I was dishonest, deceitful, and mentally weak. And the solution to that is to become a mentally strong man, to grow up, take responsibility for your life, and become tough, okay? And then you will see that there's more to you than you think, right? There's a lot of potential in you that you can bring out in that way. And if you don't know where to start, I would say let fear guide you, because that's where the solution to me was. I can remember that, I was standing one time like in a subway station. There was like a girl standing next to me who like looked over to me for some time, and I could feel my emotions coming up and just telling me, okay, go approach that girl, but there was so much fear that I didn't do it, right? And I could see that the time didn't really move. It was like a fucking psychosis state, man. And I really think that like there's no way out of where you are if you don't face what you're afraid of. Like that's the only way out of that state you're in, okay? This is a very, very complicated issue, and it takes a lot of time and effort to solve it. But I would recommend you read the book, Models Attract Women Through Honesty. That will probably be enough to take care of that issue if you really take it by heart, what they say in this book, right? Because it's too much to cover in this video to say like, okay, what steps do you need to undertake to stop being an incel? First up, subscribe to my channel, because my whole channel is basically about that. But secondly, really read the book Models Attract Women Through Honesty by Mark Manson, because it's the best dating book I've ever read, and I really read a lot of stuff. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I can tell you this is like an authentic way, an honest way, a non-manipulative and deceitful way to become more successful with women. And also, if you want some personal help, again, you can schedule a conversation with me below. I would be happy to talk about this with you and dive deep into the psychological problems. I understand them very well because, as I said, I was an incel for years. I talk to a lot of incels. I understand their psychology very well. And don't lose hope, man. You might be in a shitty place. People might make fun of you or whatever, but you're still a personal value, and you should believe that. You're not a worthless piece of shit, okay? Don't start telling yourself that. You need to treat yourself like a personal value, okay? You need to start taking care of yourself and being good to yourself. Because once you do that, once you stop treating yourself like shit, other people will stop treating you like shit too. And this is a very personal, emotional video for me, actually. And I hope I could help some people understand the psychology behind this more, and maybe give some hints on how to fix the issue. Have a good Sunday, and peace out, guys.